Start recording. All right. So, good afternoon. Thank you again for coming. My name is James Gilbreth. I'm a librarian with Lister Hill Library. Uh, and I'm also happen to be the liaison to the School of Nursing. Just as a reminder that every health science unit on campus has librarians that serve them. But today we are talking about Introduction to EndNote. Incidentally, this will be recorded, and after the session, I will be sending out a link to the recording as well as the slides used to everyone who registered. Also, I apologize. I had a dental procedure done on Monday that I'm still recovering from. So I have a little bit of a lisp currently. So my apologies if my enunciation isn't completely clear. All right. So again, this is Introduction to EndNote. So we're going to be talking about the basics of EndNote. At the end, I'll leave room for questions. So if anyone has more advanced questions, they're welcome to ask. But we're going to interestingly talk about locations where EndNote libraries should not be saved. I talk about that first because it's very important. How to create a library of references, identify location and use of output styles, how to add references to your library, and how to get references out of EndNote. So why should you use EndNote? It's a way to store and organize. So there are sort of two parts to it. You have the storage and organization of citations for sources that you're using for your research. And then it will also create, and this is what people mainly use it for, in-text citations and bibliography with a click of a button. It will absolutely save you time. Why EndNote as opposed to some other solutions? I will say whatever tool like this works for you, please use that. As being affiliated with UAB, everyone gets a download of EndNote for free. And I will note today I'm talking about EndNote Desktop. There is an EndNote Online, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But whether it's EndNote, whether it's Zotero, Mendeley, SciWheel, whatever, I strongly recommend using one. It will save you a lot of time. It will save you a lot of headache and potentially a lot of heartache as well. It has been a long time since I got my library degree. We did not have this. Technically, EndNote and RefWork were around, but they were really terrible at the time. They're significantly better than they used to be. They're very functional and they're very usable. Now, we do have a UAB Libraries guide to EndNote, guides.library.uab.edu/EndNote. You can also just go to the library website, click on guides, and it's right there on a link to it is right there on the front. So immediately you see there is a link to how to download the EndNote software, a link to EndNote customer support. By virtue of having a site license for EndNote, everyone gets access to EndNote support. Y'all are always welcome to ask us for questions when you're having trouble with EndNote, but for some technical things, we may refer y'all to the actual EndNote support. But there are links to stuff on EndNote training, how to use EndNote, how to save PDFs, and a lot of other stuff in the guide. So how to get the EndNote software, if you do not have it yet, go to UAB on the hub. Y'all will all get these slides, so you'll have the link to it, but the link is in the guide. Sign in with your Blazor ID and password. Start shopping. It should be right there, but you can search for it. Select the operating system. That is very important, whether you're on a Mac or a Windows machine, and then you download EndNote. The one thing I will note is that it will give you a software code that you will need to save so that after it finishes installing, you can actually unlock it. So the way EndNote works is EndNote is computer-based. You download EndNote to your computer, you download citations, to your computer and save them on the computer itself. So all the files are maintained locally on your machine. So the library is like the overall container of where those citations are saved to. So when you first open up EndNote, it will prompt you to create a library. So there are places you should not save EndNote libraries to. Any kind of cloud environment, so Box, Google Drive, iCloud, OneDrive. OneDrive is a cloud-based solution. You should not save an EndNote library to OneDrive. A USB drive or a network drive. So the way EndNote functions and the way the code works, over time, this will corrupt your EndNote library and you will lose all your references. So you have to save your library on a local machine, in your documents, in a folder, somewhere on your local machine. Now, there is a way that you can archive an EndNote library. I'll show you that later, which makes it stable, and you can save that to a cloud drive or a flash drive or something like that. But you should not save a working EndNote library to any of these. So, to create an EndNote library, when you first open up EndNote, it will prompt you to do that, prompt you to save, to select where you want to save it to and save it there. Otherwise, you would just go to File and New, and you'll tell it what folder you want to save it to. And then it will create your library. It will also create some additional files, so .data and .enl files. I would suggest the first time you save an EndNote library, save it to an empty folder. You know where it is. And so you can see the additional folder that's created in there so you know like what those folders look like so that you will not accidentally delete them. You should not move a working EndNote library out of the drive that you save it to. It will break its connection to the supporting files that have been created for it. So, exporting citations from databases. Essentially, every library database you use will give you some kind of functionality in terms of exporting or saving citations out of that database for you to download and then load into EndNote. So pretty much any browser should be compatible with EndNote because you're just downloading the files to your local computer to load into your library. When exporting references from database, an import file will be created in Safari. They'll pretty universally be in your downloads folder. With a Mac, you have to click and open or drag the folder into EndNote. In other browsers, when you download a file, wherever that appears in the browser window to let you know, you can go and click on it and it will load it into EndNote. So let's talk about exporting citations from PubMed. So you go to PubMed, and we'll be doing some of this live too, so you can get a look at it. Go to PubMed, do your search. You can either individually select articles to export, or you can select all of them. You're going to want to click Send to Citation Manager, whatever you want to pick. So all the results on the page, the ones you've selected, or all results, and then click Create File. So let's walk through doing that really quickly. All right. So I'm here on the library homepage. I'm going to go to Databases, and then I'm going to go to PubMed. I'm going to search for something. as a disclaimer, I am diabetic. I use Ozempic. That's why I'm searching for this. This gives me 1,500 results. Now, I'm not going to export 1,500 results right now. If I wanted to, again, I would click Send to, Citation Manager, All Results, and Create File. For the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to select a few of these. So I have 7 citations selected here. I'm going to click Send to, Citation Manager. I have the 7 articles I've selected. Then I click Create File. So you see here the file downloaded. It's actually in the Downloads folder, but from this indicator right here, I can click it. I already have EndNote open. And in my EndNote library, you can see there is a it says imported references here, and here are my 7 imported references. Now, when you import references into EndNote, my suggestion is to immediately create a group to organize your citations. So this is how you choose to organize your research is completely up to you. I would say most commonly people either create groups for different projects, or well, I'll come back to that in a second. Or you can, create groups based on the database you exported it from. But to move citations into a group, I'm going to select all. So I clicked this, I hit Control A to select all. And I just click and drag it over. And so now these 7 citations are in this group. So just to talk a little bit about, well, I'll come back to the interface because we're talking about citation exporting. All right. So depending on the browser you're using, you may have a dialog box pop up. If in Firefox, it may ask you, how do you want to open this file? And in Safari, RIS files will go in the Downloads folder. EndNote application must be closed. Drag and drop the file from the Downloads folder into the EndNote icon on the dock. So EndNote was created for the Windows platform. It's been adapted to OS. It works. It's a little bit funny on Macs, but it works. It just works a little bit differently than it does on PCs. Okay, so exporting citations from EBSCO databases, CINAHL, Business Source Premier, Academic Search Premier. This reminds me, I apologize. I do need to modify this presentation slightly because, as you are about to see, if you have used CINAHL lately, it does look a bit different. So again, on the library's website, I'm going to go to databases. I'm going to search for CINAHL. So at the very end of last year, EBSCO rolled out a new search interface for the EBSCOhost platform. So I'm going to search for okay. The easiest way to export, well, honestly, the easiest way, if you want to do these one at a time, if you click on the title, it brings up the record for the article. So If you click the double quotes, which is the cite button, this is where you can export your citations individually, and you will always want to export in RIS format. That is, RIS is the standard format for the standard file type for exporting citations out of databases. So you can do them one at a time, though that's not very efficient. You can select multiple ones. I'm going to go ahead and select. I have 18 results. You see I have 10 selected. So if you want more than that at once, you have to click Show More Results. So I have 18 selected and click the Save button. So you see this ribbon turn blue. I'm going to go over to Saved over here. I have my 18 records. I'm going to click Export. Whoop. Again, you have to scroll down, click Load More Records. So now I have 18. They export this one and 17 more. I'm going to export in RAS format. So again, this pops up letting me know a file is downloaded. I'm going to click on it. And over here in EndNote, these 18 references are now in my EndNote library. Again, I'm going to select all of them and drag them over into the group I'm working with. Now, say you're working on a large scale project, you get a couple of hundred results, and you want to export all of them. It's a little more complicated. The first thing you have to do is if you don't have a MyEBSCO account, you have to create one. It's free, but you don't get one automatically. Our library databases. So for database access, you log in with your Blazor ID and password, which gives you access to the databases. But to use additional functionality within library databases, you sometimes do have to create an account with that particular database platform. So don't assume you already have a MyEBSCO account. If you don't remember making one, you should create an account. I'm going to sign into my EBSCO account. Okay, so here is my search results. I'm going to click Save Search. I have the search name, which is I can change. In this case, it's the same as the query. I have some additional information here. I'm going to click Save. So I will admit I'm a little embarrassed right now. I'm having trouble remembering precisely how to export all results from the new CINAHL. Uh, it's it's a little harder to find than it was before. Um, and what's embarrassing is I did it actually a couple of days ago. Um, so I tell you what, rather than hold y'all up watching me struggle with doing this, know that there is a way to do it. If it's a very large number of records, EBSCO will email you a file that you have to download, and you have to wait for it to show up in your email. It's sort of inconvenient, but that's how EBSCO does large-scale export, citation exports, and ProQuest is the same way. Again, remember, you're going to want to direct export in RIS format, and your dialog boxes may appear. Okay, so let's talk about organizing your research. So after you get your citations into EndNote, you're going to want to create groups or folders for different things. So as you can see here, this is as you can see, a demo library that I've used for demos and very occasionally for a project. And philosophically, how you organize things, there are sort of two schools of thought. One school of thought is you have a main library that you use, and you use it for different projects, and you kind of keep everything in one place, and you use groups or group sets, which are, just sets of groups. So if I wanted to do like, for example, I could make a group set and then create, you know, groups for exports from the different databases related to that project, or under my groups, you can just create groups for each thing you work on. That's sort of up to you. The other school of thought is for each project, you create a separate library in support of all of the citations from that project. If you do a lot of reviews that require large-scale literature searches like systematic reviews, scoping reviews, rapid reviews, umbrella reviews, all the different types of reviews. If you do a lot of that kind of research, that may be preferable. That's what I have started doing as a librarian who supports that type of research. And you just go to File, New, you create a new library for each project you're working on, and keep up with your citations that way. It's really up to you. It's how you organize things. It's how your workflow works. If it works for you, it's fine. So you can create groups, essentially folders for different classes, papers, topics. Again, I tend to select, I tend to just right click to create a group. You can go to groups, create group. And now you have created a group that doesn't have any references in it. You name your group, you click enter. Okay, so we're not going to get to output styles quite yet. Let's talk a little bit about the interface before we get to output styles. So once you have your citations in EndNote, again, the first thing you'll want to do after you import them is put them in a group, because otherwise your references will just be floating around here in the all references, essentially the all references folder. And as you can see, I have 13,000 references in here. So it's not super helpful to just keep everything unorganized. You really, really want to organize your citations in EndNote. But after you've imported something, you have either the group or the import window where you can at a glance see the author, the year, the title, when it was published, when it was last updated, and the reference type. When you click on one of your sources, you get the preview window, which gives you the title, all of the authors, the rest of your citation information, and your abstract. You also see here you have a number of output styles you can select from, and you can actually go ahead and, I want to say open up a blank Word document. So for example, this citation, I have APA 7 selected. I can click copy, and in this blank document, I can paste it, and there is my works cited or bibliography citation in APA style. Of course, you then have to do stuff with the hanging indent and stuff like that. But if, you know, that is one way to get citations out. Also in the preview window, you can click edit. So one thing you want to double check, depending on the style. So for example, there are always, when you're dealing with citations, there are a ton of little things to worry about. For example, I can tell that this article came out of PubMed because it uses the AMA style abbreviation for the journal name. I don't know why AMA does that, and it drives me nuts a little bit. But say, for example, if you are saving this in APA style, they don't want the abbreviation. You may need to fix that. Uh, but also, if there are typos, like if there are things weirdly capitalized, um, like this one, JMIR, res protocol. Um, but sometimes I have, not as much lately, but I have seen like authors' names in all caps before. So unfortunately, EndNote doesn't automatically fix that. It is dealing with the information that's been imported into it. You do need to individually edit these. I suggest editing them here before you deal with them in the in a document you're working on or whatever. Then you just have to edit them once instead of having to fix them every time you use them in something you're working on. Also, there's a way you can attach PDFs. So if you want to organize and keep all your research kind of in one place, including the full text for it, you can attach PDFs to records in EndNote. Okay, output styles. So output styles control how references will appear in citations and bibliographies, or when using the copy formatted command. Uh, Output styles control the format of data that's sent out of EndNote. The output styles drop-down menu allows editing of existing output styles or creation of new output styles. So for example, your output style will impact your in-text citation and your bibliography. So this is how it would look in AMA. And here's the same information, or here's the information in APA. So let's look at that very briefly. So to control your output styles, you're going to go to Tools and Output Styles. So when you first install EndNote, there will be the commonly used ones like APA, Chicago, or author date, Turabian, Vancouver. Your commonly used ones will show up. And this drop-down menu dictates how the information will be formatted when you copy formatted references to insert in a document. So if you need a style that is not in this list already, you're going to click Open Style Manager. The Style Manager is in a way a small other program that's embedded within EndNote. It's EndNote styles. So as we look here, EndNote comes pre-installed with a wildly large number of styles. So in addition to your standard styles that are kind of universally used, like APA, MLA, and so on, they also include styles for particular journals. So if if well-known journal has its own weird citation style, that is an option. that you can probably select from. So if you want an output style to show up in that drop-down menu, you open up the style manual and you click the little check mark next to that style type. So this is uh, International Archives of Occupational and Environmental Health, I assume. So I'm going to close that, and then your output styles, there is the style. So I can now select it, and I can copy a reference. So let's select several. I have this output style selected. I'm going to copy formatted references, and in my Word document, I'm going to hit paste, and here are uh, those citations in whatever this particular style is that I just used. So that is one way of getting citations into a document, is to copy the formatted references. I will note, let's go back to Style Manager. It's sort of wild in that you can you can edit existing styles, but also you can just like create a new style if you really wanted to. You can really get into the weeds on stuff that EndNote can do. And EndNote can also do things like if you want to take references and put them in a table in Excel or something similar. It doesn't come with this tab delimited one, but it is on the EndNote site. You can download this style, and then for all the articles you can select, you copy and paste it, and it will put uh, the information uh, across the rows with across the columns with an entry for each row being a different article. That's something neat you can do with it. Okay, so inserting citations into a Word document. There are a few ways you can do it. So when you install EndNote on your computer, it will automatically install a plugin or an add-on for EndNote. When you do, it will have its own entry in the tab options in the menu. And if you can't find it, so on your Mac, for example, if you install it and you can't find it, you have to go to templates and add-ins and do this with that. So in the EndNote plugin, you're going to want to select your style that you're using in that document. Then to insert a citation, you put your cursor where you want it to be. Click on Insert Citation. You'll need to search for whatever document you want, select it, and then click Insert. But you can also do it from the EndNote side. So just to show you live what that looks like, I'm going to cut all that out. That's interesting. When I last installed Zotero, it looks like it removed my EndNote bar. That is absolutely fascinating. Uh, I'll be completely honest. I don't personally use the EndNote plugin. A lot of people do, and it can be really helpful. It's a little bit finicky for me. Um, but from the EndNote side, I notice that's grayed out. That's interesting. You would select an article, you would click this button, and wherever your cursor is in your document, it would insert the in-text citation and add the entry to the bibliography. And that's really how it works, is it creates the in-text or footnote or endnote citation for you, and then starts automatically generating your bibliography based on the in-text citations you've used. The trick with this is that EndNote, the Cite While You Write plugin, does so by using a lot of invisible code within your Word document. So if you use Cite While You Write, do not edit or delete EndNote text within a Word document by backspacing it out or deleting it. So if something needs to be fixed, you should edit the citation record in your EndNote library, go back to Word, and then click Update Citation to Bibliography to refresh the information you changed. So if you want to edit it on the Word side, you would click Edit and Manage Citations. And you would also go here to remove citations as well. So you go to Edit and Manage Citations. It gives you the list of citations. So if something needs to come out, you would click on it and then click Remove Citations. Now, you can also remove the invisible EndNote code from your document. So if you ever do want to manually edit something that EndNote has put in, you'll need to do this first. Also, whenever you're done working on a document, you'll want to create a clean copy that doesn't have the invisible EndNote code anyway, honestly. So in the EndNote tab under Tools, there's an option to convert to plain text. Even though it says plain text, it doesn't remove all the formatting from the document. The formatting is in like hanging indent, anything in italics, that sort of thing. It converts it to plain text in the sense that it saves the text as you have it and removes the invisible code from it. After you select Convert to Plain Text, you'll be notified a new copy of the Word document is being created that's not linked to the EndNote library. You should name it in such a way that that you know it's your document that doesn't have the EndNote code in it. So in EndNote, there is the Find Full Text feature. So while you can manually add PDFs to records in EndNote, it will also find at least some of the full text citations for you. So for instructions, again, if you go to the EndNote desktop version guide on the library website, there is a tab for Save PDFs. And this gives you the explicit instructions for, for what you need to do to set that up. It's under Preferences. Let me do this in the browser, actually. Oh, no, I mean, let's do this in the EndNote library. Okay. So I'm going to go to Edit, Preferences. Here's how you can edit all your preferences in EndNote, by the way. But this is how you do your preferences for Find Full Text. You'll want to click some of these on. You'll definitely want to click Open URL at least, but probably the other ones as well. And you'll need to copy and paste in this line of this web address here and the authentication web address. So let's try to find some full text. I'm just randomly selecting these. So references. I'm not going to authenticate because I'm on campus, but if you're off campus, you'll need to go through the authentication before you do this. And it'll prompt you, like usual, to log in with your Blazor ID and password, but in EndNote. So I'm going to click Find Full Text. Oh, it actually is prompting me. Okay. Yes. Yes, Duo, this is me. Okay, you will get this page. Don't worry about this. This is fine. I'm going to click Continue. And now it's searching. So EndNote is currently running searches through our databases, and the options are it will find a PDF, in which case it will download it and attach it. It may find a URL to the full text, or it may tell you not found. Um, the find full text option will very likely not find you everything that you're looking for. And there are some cases where it won't find you things where we do have the full text. So it's imperfect, but it will save you at least some time. Uh, I wouldn't necessarily just do find full text for everything in EndNote, because that's a way to download a lot of files that you may or may not end up using. But for articles where you will absolutely be, you know, using that article, uh, and you want to read the full text, you can do this, and this will save you some time. Uh, so we're searching. We found 3 that have URLs, and 6 aren't found. Okay, so again, that doesn't mean that we don't have this. It has to do with server proxy settings and so on like that. Um, usually it does a little better than this, but again, these are ones that I just randomly selected. It's interesting that it didn't find any PDFs, because usually there will be some that it downloads and attaches the PDF. And in this case, it gave a direct link to the article. Okay, so to learn more and to get help, we do have EndNote desktop and EndNote online guides. Again, so I said earlier that I would mention it. EndNote Online is a separate product that, in theory, should work with EndNote Desktop. Uh, it does in a sense. However, I would be very, very careful about syncing an EndNote Online account with your EndNote Desktop. Sometimes it syncs the wrong way. Uh, so if you primarily get articles into EndNote Online, if it syncs it with desktop may say, we don't have any of these, and it wipes them out. I think it's more likely that you'll have a bunch of citations in your desktop. The EndNote Online says, no, we don't have those, and they disappear. So before you sync an account, I would contact EndNote technical support to walk you through it. Uh, and again, we do have robust technical support with EndNote Online. So if you run into any technical problems, you can absolutely ask us through chat for help. But there may be some cases where we'll say, like, it is kind of difficult to do technical troubleshooting over chat if we can't see what's happening. So we'll do the best we can, but we may refer you to EndNote Online support. So this is where I will say, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. And if you have any feedback, I would ask that you do the session evaluation. You can scan the QR code with your phone. I will also, again, be sending out these slides. So if you don't do it right now, I would ask that you click the link and give some feedback on the session. Feedback is a gift. I know I can always do things better, so please let us know how we can improve things. So, does anyone have any questions for me?
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Liana, and I'm working in the chemistry department with my boss,
Hmm.
Dr. Lucas. So what happened is, he had a shared drive EndNote library. So it was
Oh, yeah.
exactly what you told us not to do.
Yes. Yeah.
So last month, what happened was that I was using the library, and all I did was that I hit insert citation and imported something, right? So I
Hmm.
did not meddle with his folder structure. However, um, at some point, he lost access to all his PDFs, like
Yeah.
all, as in like the PDFs were in the folder, but he could not open the PDFs inside EndNote. So I guess I looked online and tried to find the source of the problem.
Hmm.
And then they said that some people on Reddit and other places said that that can happen if somebody accidentally deletes a PDF from one within one of the folders, and that would break basically all the connections. And I checked the folder, and I saw that there was when I looked at recent edits, I saw that one folder was missing a file, but I could not locate it.
Hmm.
And like now we don't know how to fix that library. Like, is it unsalvageable?
Oh goodness. Yeah. So for everyone else, let this is a good example of the dangers of saving things to a cloud. Uh Straight up, I don't know. I don't know if it can be saved. What you will need to do is, as soon as possible, you or your uh you or the researcher will need to contact EndNote technical support, or I guess I should say Clarivate. Um, so again, in the guide, I will copy and paste this into the chat. EndNote.com/contact. They have chat support. I would probably contact their phone support to see what they can do. I don't know. It's not impossible that they could salvage something. But again, I don't know. You would have to ask them to see what they can do about it. Oh, I did mention earlier that I would say how you can save a library so that it can be on a shared drive. To do that, you're going to go to File, Compress Library, uh, create. If you have a bunch of PDFs, like in this particular case, you can create it with file attachments. Uh, you're probably going to want to do all references in the library, but you can do selected references or groups. You then say where you're going to save it, and the regular file is a .enl. This creates a .enlx. That is a stable file that can be emailed. It can be uploaded to cloud drives, to shared drives, uh, and exchanged. And honestly, if you're collaborating with someone who is using EndNote, that's probably the easiest way to share citations. I know there is group sharing. Uh, I have had some difficulty with that. But I am so very sorry that that happened to you and y'all with your project and with the research library. Uh, but I I personally don't know what can be done about that. You'll just need to contact EndNote support.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Certainly, yeah, and good luck with that.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Is
So
there
I know.
any,
Oh, go ahead, please. Yeah.
sorry, is there anywhere we'll be able to see this video and review?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. So yeah, so after this session, maybe not today, probably tomorrow, uh, I will upload this recording to YouTube, and I will send everyone who registered a link to this recording as well as the slides I used, so you can view it again at your leisure. You'll have access to this information. And I will say, if you're having difficulty with EndNote, and it's something a little bit more in depth than, chat, you can absolutely set up a consultation with your library liaison or anyone else. We can do things over Zoom. We can meet in person if you bring your device. But we can sit down and walk you through some things as well if that's helpful. We're very happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And I think you just addressed the thing that I was about to say as well. So, um, anything else from anyone? Well, thank y'all very much for your time and attention. I hope this was helpful. Again, please fill out the survey, or when you get it, when I send out the email, I will include a link to the survey as well. So again, feedback is a gift. But thank y'all very much for your time and attention. I hope you have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. So y'all take care.
You take care.